All righty, guys. Thank you again. We have a couple more people join us now. So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Marco. I'm going to be your host for today. Today's webinar is Mastering the Basics, of course, going over the core features within the Carepatron workspace. With me here, supporting us throughout the meeting is going to be Louis. He's going to be answering your questions through that Q&A section. We're both customer success managers here within Carepatron. So if you guys ever reach out through the Help Center, which I'll show you guys how to do that if you haven't before, you probably already had a chance to one of us, or maybe even join us on a call. Like I said before, I noticed a couple of familiar faces on the call with me today. Guys, today we're going to be focusing on these pieces of information. They're not in any particular order right here, but we will be making sure to go over all of them before the end of today's webinar. Okay, so first starting off with setting up your location, services and availability, showing you how to streamline your billing and payments, how to manage client records, how to use the templates that we have within the workspace and create new ones, as well as how to navigate your calendar and the information found within. Now, a couple of things before we jump to the Carepatron workspace, guys. A couple of the things that you're going to be seeing today, a couple of the features are only available for our paid plans. So if you guys notice anything that I go over today that you don't have in your plan, I will go over the plans and prices by the end of the webinar as well. But I do recommend you take your own time to go over those and see which plan works best for you guys, especially if there's a feature that you notice you don't have that you would like to have. The other thing is we are recording today's webinar, guys. So you will be receiving today's recording tomorrow. Once it becomes available, we'll be sending you guys, an email with this recording as well as a survey to let us know how you guys feel. That's the last thing I wanted to mention, guys. Please, if you have the time, take a couple of minutes to let us know how you feel. We're super open to your guys' feedback. We really do appreciate anything that you want to share with us. So feel free to share that information when we send you that email. Okay. Without any further ado, guys, let's go ahead and start with today's presentation. So you guys have a chance to use the reactions here within the call. If you guys can see my screen, if you could help me out by just reacting, send me a thumbs up or, some clapping hands that you can see my screen. We'll go ahead and get started. Awesome. See a couple of you guys there. Awesome. Perfect. Thank you guys so much. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, before we start, with going over the features, the tools, the capabilities, I want to make sure that you guys know how to set yourselves up for success right from the start. Okay, so to do that, the first thing I want to check out is the settings over here. And first and foremost, check out scheduling, because first thing you want to do is set up your locations, your services, and your online booking settings. Now, locations can be virtual. They can also be in-office locations, or if you guys do phone calls, you can also add that option. By default, all plans have the Carepatron virtual location already enabled. This is an in-app telehealth option where you guys can, take calls with patients, have video calls with them. And like I said, it's already preset by default, but you also have the possibility to add other platforms such as Zoom or Google, Microsoft, DoxyMe, and use those features directly through the workspace, create the events with those links directly through your Carepatron workspace. Okay, as I mentioned before, if you guys don't have an office but you still want to create a real location, you can add a phone call, or you could just add some or your billing address and having the location in here, guys. Even if you don't offer in-office appointments, doesn't mean that patients are going to get the impression that they're going to be in the office. You really have control over letting patients know about that. But yeah, this is where you can add new locations. Simply click on this button here and add them as needed. So like I said, it's an in-person, phone call, telehealth, video call, or any of the other platforms that we support. Now, for services, guys, you can add any service that you offer. You can also create these individually and then add them to a collection, especially if these services have the same, specialty in common, or they have to do with one type of treatment that you need to, that you offer, that a patient needs to, sequentially go through these appointments. Whatever the case may be, you have the chance to add services individually. And like I said before, you can also create collections for patients to be able to schedule those appointments and navigate the services when they're booking online. Now, keep in mind, guys, the way that the information is presented to you is the same way that the patients are going to be seeing the information when they're trying to book online. Okay, so the same order, the same names that you have here, and the same collections. Okay, so to create a new service, you just need to fill out the information as needed here. You can create the service name, give it another name. So you can have an internal name for you and your team, and then a display name that's different for patients. Okay, you can create a code for it. You can add, the duration, how long you want this service to take, 30 minutes, an hour. You can go ahead and choose that, how much you want to charge for it, who's going to be assigned to this service. So which team member within your team is going to be offering this service? Is it everybody? Is it just a couple of people? You can choose that right here as well. You can choose to make this a group event if the case for the service, requires it. You can select the maximum number of attendees here. When the patients are scheduling this group event online, they'll be able to see how many seats are left when they're trying to book. If they can't see it, that means no seats are left. Now you can also make it taxable or not taxable just by enabling this. And down here, you can also make some settings for booking online. So if you don't want this to be bookable online, you could just disable this, and that's it. Only you guys have control over scheduling these appointments. If you do want it to be bookable online, you have the chance to make this only available for existing patients and not new clients, or for everybody. So you can select that by moving this toggle here. Okay. Well, last but not least, we have the location where the service is going to be provided. Now, you can choose all locations. If it really, doesn't matter if you guys want to have a specific location. If you only offer online appointments like telehealth calls, you could just select all locations, because those are going to be the locations that you have. Or you can just, like I said, be specific and select the exact location where you want to offer this. Okay. Now, we have a couple already shown here. So you can go ahead and take a look at the service. Now, you can take a look at the information for it. And you can change some pieces of information. Like you can add a service color if you want to recognize it quickly within the calendar. You'll be able to do that. And you can also set up the online payment right here for patients if you want them to be able to pay at the time of booking. Now let's come back here and take a look at the entire online booking settings. Now in here, guys, you can choose if you want to add a booking or a cancellation policy for patients, meaning how long before the appointment they actually can cancel. You can set up 24 hours or not at all, or 48 hours. Same goes for booking policy. If you guys want to give, some time after a patient has had an appointment until they can have their next appointment, you can set that up here as well. Again, with the payment settings, you can set up the payment at the time of booking, or at least require the credit card details at the time of booking right here. Okay. Another cool thing that we added a couple of weeks ago is also analytics integration. So if you have a Google Tag Manager ID, you can go ahead and add it right here, and you can start monitoring the performance of your appointments, which type of services are being scheduled the most, the frequency where patients are missing appointments or attending these appointments. You just need to add that information here, create those tags in Google Tag Manager, and you'll be able to see that information. Okay. Now, if you guys have any questions so far, like I said before, Louis is right there in the Q&A section. Feel free to ask those questions. Before I continue with, the tools and everything, I wanted to show you one last thing you need to take care of before you start, taking care of anything else. And that is your services and availability, specifically the availability. Because one thing we want to make sure, especially when patients are booking online, is that they are seeing the correct times when you are available or when the rest of your team is available. So to set that up, you can come over to Settings, My Profile, and then Services and Availability right here. And down here, you can set up that availability as you need. If you guys have a lunch hour where you close the office, you can even add that as well. So anything that you need to add regarding the availability, you can do that right here. You can change the location where you're going to be providing service. We know a couple of you guys have more than one office, so you guys, are in an office a number of days, and then in the other office a certain number of days. You can add that information directly from here without having to change every single time. Okay. You can also assign services to yourself or remove, those services from the assigned services to you. Okay. So that was the last little piece of settings that I wanted to share with you guys. Now, before we continue with the calendar, I wanted to direct your attention to the navigation bar up here, guys. This is our newly released navigation bar. It's an easy way for you guys to move around and create events or any of the other tools and capabilities that we have right here, which we'll go over together in a second. So if you click on Quick Actions, sorry about that, guys. So you can see you have the appointment, you can create a note, you can create a client, an invoice, start a video call, create a task for yourself, or even create a template. So these are like a quick shortcut for you guys to get, to any part that you need to. But again, this is only helpful if you already know how to create any one of these, right? So that's what we're going to be going over today. You also have the Help Center right here, which we'll come back to in the end. But what I wanted to mention mostly is the notifications and activity section. Anything that happens in your workspace, you'll be able to see right here in the activity and notification section. So make sure you double check that at any point if you guys don't remember anything changing, or if an appointment that used to be in your calendar is no longer there, it might have been canceled. You might want to double check the information right here. You also have these options over here, guys. Quick routes toward changing your profile information, your theming, checking your subscriptions, as well as, the Help Center and the option to refer friends. Now, let's get into the good stuff. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and take a look at the booking link. Now, when patients are going to be booking online, what you're going to want to send them is this booking link. So let's copy it. And here we go. So when they receive the link, this is what they're going to be seeing. Now, we're going the long way around booking an appointment. Most of the times, guys, when they book the appointment, they already know the service that they're booking for. So they'll be like in step 4 from the start. But today, we're going to start from step 1. So first and foremost, I'm going to say I'm a new client. And then I'm going to say I want to start service. And I want to choose the time. I'll say, let's see, 3 p.m., continue. Fill out my pieces of information. There we go. And confirm my appointment. There we go. So it's as simple as that. All patients need to do is go through those steps, and they're going to get to this, where means they're going to receive an email letting them know that the appointment has been booked, and you're also going to be able to see the appointment in your calendar. Now let's go ahead and take a look at that information over here in the calendar now. And as we can see, the appointment is right down here. My client, the patient, the practitioner, the patient right here, the service that's going to be provided, where I'm going to be providing that service, and the option to create an invoice for it once the service has been provided, or a session note for the service itself. Now from here, you can also start the video call. You can edit the information if you guys need to, and you can also copy the link for the video call directly from here, okay? Now, if we take a look at the client, we can also see a couple more pieces of information, like the notes that have been attached, as well as any billing or billables will be found right here, okay? Now that we're here, guys, I wanted to show you how you can see the information in your calendar and choose how to see it, okay? So from the start, you're going to be offered a weekly view of your calendar. But you can change that by coming over here and choosing maybe the day. If you have a really busy day, you have, all your team is super busy, you have a bunch of events or a bunch of appointments here and there, and you want to make sure you don't lose track of those throughout the day, I recommend this view so you can see every hour, every single service or appointment that you have right here, okay? You can also choose to chop the week in half and only see 3 days out of that week. For now, since we're on Wednesday, we're going to see Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. If you're at the start of the week, you'd see Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, okay? You can also choose to see the week as we were seeing at first, but also the full month. So if there's anything you want to monitor, if there's anything you want to check throughout the month, as like how many times the service was, requested, or how many appointments does this practitioner have throughout the month, you can double check that information by taking a look at this view. Now, this is the general grid view, but we also offer something called the agenda view, which offers a bit more information. It's kind of a mix of taking a look at just the calendar and opening up the event. So it's kind of a mix of both. You can see the event itself, but it'll also have information like how long it will last, the service that you're providing. You can also change the status of that appointment right here and even start it directly from the event itself. You can click on adding a new note or create a new invoice from here as well. Now, you can also take a look at 3 days and the full week in this agenda view. It's super useful, again, for any day or any week that's especially hectic. It's super easy for everyone to just see the information, especially if they just filter out their own calendar. They won't be missing any one of the appointments they have that day. Guys, if you have any questions, feel free to ask Louis. He will be more than happy to answer those questions for you. Let's come back to the grid view, the weekly grid view, so we can also take a look at the calendar settings. So if you come over to more actions here, guys, and click on settings, you can change the way you see the information within the calendar. So you can change the start day of the week on the calendar right here. If you don't want it to be Sunday, instead want it to be Monday, choose that. If you want to show the weekends or not, how big you want the slots to show up as. If you want it to be really big or small, you can choose that right here. You can also choose the default time increment for new appointments. So you can choose it to be like a 30-minute event by default whenever you click on the calendar. So it'll automatically create a 30-minute appointment. You can also choose which icons you want events to show when you have notes or invoice or a virtual location attached to it. And last but not least, this one is really important to keep in mind. You can choose how you want the patient's name to be showing up in the appointment itself. Now, if you guys are used to having like client IDs, I recommend choosing that just to keep the information as safe as possible. I also recommend using the initials. But if you know you're not going to be using Carepatron outside of your office, you're never going to be like in a coffee shop and double checking your appointments, you can choose the full name or the first name and last name, format right here. But yeah, just to make sure, to assure, information is secure, your Carepatron workspace is 100% HIPAA compliant. But again, if you guys ever are outside and you double check your calendar and you want to make sure that no information is compromised, I recommend, taking a look at this setting right here. Now, the other thing that you can do is add a secondary time zone. We know a lot of times practitioners will be in one city or in one side of the country, and then their patients will be on another side of the country, or they'll be in separate countries entirely. So when those cases happen, we recommend adding that secondary time zone here to avoid any confusion when scheduling appointments. It happens to us as well. We see it all the time where there's confusion because the practitioner is in the Eastern time, and their patient is in Pacific time, and then there's confusion there because the appointment was set up at 1, but the practitioner thought it was 1 Eastern and the patient thought it was 1 Pacific, right? Classic. It always happens, guys. So to avoid that, you can add the secondary time zone, and whenever you take a look at your calendar, you'll be able to see both of them. So whenever you say, hey, it's 1 p.m. for me, it's going to be, in this case, in the Eastern Pacific. If it's 1 p.m. for me Eastern, it's going to be 10 a.m. for you, okay? So you'll know that from the start when you're scheduling the appointment, and they'll also be able to receive the information in Eastern time, but since they are going to receive an email, their email will automatically show them their time, the time in their time zone in Pacific time, okay? Alrighty, guys, any questions so far? Feel free to ask those through the Q&A, guys. The next thing I wanted to show you is the fact that you can connect your Google or Microsoft Calendar to Carepatron. And this also includes Inbox, but we'll get into that in a bit. That's the next section we're going to be going to. But if you want to connect your calendar, it's as simple as coming over to More Actions again and clicking on Sync Calendar. It'll automatically give you the choice of either Google or Microsoft. Choose either one of them. If you have either one of them, choose the one that you choose and go through the steps. I won't go entirely through it, but I just wanted to show you how easy it is. As soon as I click allow, the information is going to show up in the calendar, okay? So you'll be able to see all the events that you already have in your Google Calendar show up in your Carepatron calendar as well. And moving forward, any appointments that you create through the Carepatron workspace will be reflected in your Google Calendar, okay? Let's come back here and continue with Inbox, guys. Now, for Inbox, you can also connect your Gmail account to the Carepatron workspace, and you can do that by coming over to New Inbox and then just clicking on Connect right here. I will do the email just so you guys can see, again, how easy and quick it is to sync those. As soon as your email is synced, any email that comes through will start showing up here. Now, keep in mind, guys, differently from the calendar, in your inbox, you won't be able to see any past emails reflected right here. It only shows newly received emails. Okay, so if there's anything you received yesterday, you won't be able to see it here. Okay, but that's not the end of the world, because anything that you have for your clients, you also have individual inboxes for each client, so you don't have to come in here and try to find all their information whenever you need to. But we'll get to that in a bit. I also wanted to show you the capabilities that you have to message your patients directly from here. You have the possibility to email them, one by one. You have the same capabilities that you would have on any other email provider available to you here. You even have the possibility to attach, documents and stuff. But you also have a really cool feature, which is the bulk messaging. Now, bulk messaging is entirely HIPAA compliant. Like I said, the way the patients receive this message is as if you were sending a one-on-one email. They won't be able to see all the other recipients of the message. And this bulk messaging option helps a lot when you guys are trying to, communicate announcements. Maybe you guys are going to be closed for a couple of days. The office is not going to be available for a couple of days. Or if you're going to be offering some, promos for any holiday or anything like that, this is a really good tool to use to communicate that information. Okay. Now you can see, sent emails, drafts that you've left halfway through, anything that you've, closed, any appointments that have been scheduled, anything that you've deleted, as well as any other email will be found right here. I always recommend coming over to open and staying in all. Okay. Alrighty, guys. Now, if you have any other questions about inbox, about sending out emails, Q&A section is right there. Like I said, Louis will be happy to answer those questions for you. The next section we're going to be going over is clients. Now, in the section at the start, you'll notice we have a list with their names, phone numbers, email addresses, as well as tags that will tell you a bit more about them. You can add those tags yourself to help you, at a glance, know what's going on with the patient. And you can also check out their status. So you can change that at any point, again, to reflect what's going on with the patient. So you don't have to go in there directly to be able to catch up and see what's going on with each one. Now, if you do, when you click on the client, the first thing you're going to see is the overview, which is where any past and upcoming appointments are shown. Okay, so anything that happened in the last month and last week, you'll be able to see right here. Anything that's happening tomorrow or next week, you'll be able to see right here. And you can also book appointments directly from here. If you're finishing up a session with Bobby in this case, and you already know you're going to be seeing him next week, you can go ahead and directly book the appointment from here. Now, if you come over to personal, you'll be able to see all their information. We have a section with their name, contact details, more about them, and even the provider details. So any provider that's assigned to them, you'll have the information right here as well. Now, these are just the default, fields that we have. You can add new fields and even new sections, depending on your guys' needs. All you need to do is come over here, for example, and say this new section is, extra information is what I'm going to call it. Extra info. There we go. So I'll save that section there. And then I want to add a new field here to that extra information section. I want to say it's a location, call it secondary location, and it's going to be found here in extra information. Save that. And as you can see, as soon as I hit save, they start showing up here. And whatever I need to edit, I can go ahead and just add the address, especially because I chose that type of field. So I could just choose any address here. I'll say the one that shows up there, 721 Broadway. And it'll give me options to choose from right here. Okay. Now, the next thing you'll want to check out is relationships. These are people that are related to the client that are not necessarily clients themselves, but that, it could be, if you have a pediatric practice, it could be, the child's parent who usually takes care of payments and, scheduling new appointments, going over documents and all of that. So to do that, you just click on new relationship right here. It could be a client. It's not an option that's not available. It could be a client. Both of them, if they're spouses and both of them are your clients, you could have them as contacts for each other. But today I'm going to go over how to create an entirely new contact for somebody that's not a client. So in this case, I'll add Bobby's dad. So I'll say it's Robert Doe. There we go. I recommend having at least one of these two pieces of information. You might notice they're not required, either one of them, but I do highly recommend at least having a phone number or an email for the contact so you know where you can actually reach out to them if anything, So I'll add an email for today. I'll say test.com. And down here, you can select a couple of options. First, I'll say that I do want to grant him portal access, meaning he can go into the client's portal and see the information that I've shared with the client. Again, if this is Bobby's parent, you do want to give him access, right? So they can take a look at any information that you send over through the portal, any upcoming appointments, all of that information. Now down here, you can choose the relationship type. We have a pretty extensive drop-down menu of relationship types that you can choose from. You also have the option to just write down the relationship type if you don't find it here. For today, I'll just choose father because that's the example that we're using, but it could be any sort of relationship type. You can just input it here, write it down, the system will accept it. I'll say, yeah, I want to grant him access to the shared information, and yeah, he is Bobby's emergency contact. So I'll go ahead and create Robert's contact information. There we go. Now we have him here, phone, we have his email, relationship tab. I know Robert is Bobby's dad. He does have access to the portal, and he is an emergency contact. And if anything were to happen to Bobby, I know I can reach out to Robert, and he'll be able to take care of it. Okay. Now, if we take a look at Robert's profile, it looks a lot less extensive than a client's profile does. You already have the contact information right here. The provider, that's assigned to the client that they are related to. The relationships that they have, the people that they're related to, in this case, Bobby, who's your client, and the documentation that you shared with their client, which they can also see right here. Okay. Now, coming back to clients and specifically to Bobby, let's move forward with documentation, where you can find any intake forms, any session notes, any documents that you've uploaded regarding Bobby, you'll find right here. Okay, so you can create new ones directly from this new note option. You can write down session notes and write them down right here, or you can also use our AI scribe, which will transcribe the audio from any audio call, or if you're having an in-person session with a client, you can just let them know, hey, I'm going to record it through my computer. It's going to help me with my notes. The transcription, what it'll do is it'll take all the things that are said throughout the meeting, and then it'll offer, a minute-by-minute play of what was said, and then you can use one of our AI prompts, which we'll go over in a bit when we take a look at templates, to summarize that information and pull out the most important pieces of that and just add it to your session notes in this case, which we know saves a lot of time. Instead of having to do that for 2 to 3 hours every day, you could just do that in 2 to 3 minutes now. Okay, so you can create these new notes directly from here. And the cool thing is, if it happens sometimes that you're halfway through a note and you need to, go and do something else, something happens and you're not able to finish the note. When you don't have time to finish a note and you just X out of it, like I just did, it'll automatically get this draft tag attached to it. So whenever you come back, you'll know, hey, I need to finish Bobby's, last session note because I wasn't able to finish that. Okay. But yeah, scroll down here, guys, and you'll be able to find, like I said, all intake forms, notes. There'll be date and timestamp, so you'll know exactly when they were created or submitted or added here. But yeah, this is you can also search for them, through the quick search bar that we have up here. Now, as I was mentioning before, guys, you have a direct inbox with the client where you'll only be able to see communication with this client, in this case, Bobby. So any emails I've sent him, that he sent me, will be found right here. So you don't have to come over to inbox to try to search through all of your emails for something that Bobby sent to you maybe a week ago or that you sent him 2 weeks ago. You'll have all of that right here. Again, you have a search bar, which makes it a lot easier to find the information you're looking for. Last but not least, in the client record, guys, we have the billing section where you'll be able to see all billables, any invoices that you've created, any payments that the client has made, as well as any super bills, especially for our teams in the US. You can also create super bills. You can automate super bills as well. So they'll be automatically generated. You could set these up and forget about having to create those super bills yourself. But yeah, you'll be able to find all that information here. You can also create new invoices and super bills from here. Today, I'll show you how to create a new invoice from scratch. We have an uninvoiced amount here. So yeah, let's use that as today's example. There we go. So I can edit the information in the invoice before, at any point before the payment is made for it. So if you want to double check the information before you send the payment link, I recommend you take a look at it, you edit it. You can change the invoice number if you already have an ongoing series that you want to continue when you change over to Carepatron. Just write down the next number in the sequence. And when you save that, the system will understand that it needs to follow the sequence. And next time, for example, I have 16 here. If I were to create an entirely new one, it would create 000017. It understands that it needs to follow the sequence. But now down here, you have the client that you're going to be billing to. As I said before, in this case, Bobby is a child. So we're going to be billing this to Robert, who's his dad. There we go. And that's me right here. And yep, this is the service that I provided. This is when it took place. But I'm going to say, Bobby has been a client of mine and Robert is my friend as well. So instead of charging the full $100 for the service, I'm going to charge just $75 for it. And I'm not going to add any tax. I'll just go ahead and save that. So when we come back here, you'll notice that price has been changed in the invoice. And instead of saying billing to Bobby, it now says billing to Robert, who's the parent. Now, when you send the payment link through here, this is the view that they have. They'll have a chance to add their card information right here and select if they want to save it for future payments and if they want to allow you guys to use the save payment method in the future. Okay. So they can go ahead and do that, and or they can also, you know, select mark as paid if they paid through any other way outside of paying, you know, through Stripe with the card. Now that does bring me to an important point about billing, guys. But before we get to the actual billing and the billing section, the way that we do charges and payments through Carepatron is via Stripe. Now, you can invoice at any point. You can create invoices for any service at any point. You don't need to have a Stripe account. You don't need to connect a Stripe account to invoice. But to collect payment, you do need to do that. So you can come over to settings and click on billing and payments. And you just need to click on set up payments right here. If you already have an existing Stripe account, it'll guide you through that process. If you don't have a Stripe account, the process will help you create it and also help you connect it to the Carepatron workspace. So by the time you're done going through the steps, you'll already have everything set up and ready to go. You can change the billing settings like the currency that you want to charge with in, you know, if you're not in the US. And you can also add tax rates right here, which will be available for you when you're creating invoices, as well as adding your billing address right here. Okay. Now you can also take a look at invoices and change their format. We have 3 of them right here. Choose the one that works best for you, the one that you like the most. You can also add your logo to these invoices, change the color and theming in them, you know, to match your practices, you know, color and branding. You can also add an overdue term if you guys want to. It could be literally 0 days if you guys want to. And you can also set up invoice reminders. These are super helpful. You have email and SMS reminders here. They're not customizable just yet. They're pretty standard, you know, default reminders, but they help make sure patients don't miss their payment. Okay, so if you want to, I recommend at least sending 1 email and 1 text message up, and I recommend one of them being before the payment is due and one after the payment is due, at least. Okay, so you can set these up. Again, set them and forget them. You don't need to come over here and set those up for every single patient. They will apply to all of your clients. Okay, and automation, again, you're able, for our clients in the US, you're able to automate your super bill generation, so you don't have to worry about that at the end of every month or the time period that you select. Okay. Now let's go to billing. In here, guys, you have an overview of all the invoices, paid or unpaid, that you've created for all your clients. You can monitor, you know, economic information up here, but you can also access the invoices directly through this space and create a new invoice from scratch right up here. Now, you won't be creating a lot of invoices from scratch, guys, because, again, you have the possibility to invoice for services directly from the calendar. So when you create the invoice, it automatically takes all the information and just provides it for you right here. Again, you have a chance to edit it, remember? But, yeah, I just wanted to make sure you guys knew you also have the option to create invoices from scratch directly from here. Okay? Now, any questions, guys? Feel free to go ahead and ask Louis. Oh, and as you might notice, as I said before, I followed the sequence when I created the new invoice right up here. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask Louis. He'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you before we continue with the next section, which is your team. Guys, whenever you are ready to add the rest of your practitioners to your Carepatron workspace, all you need to do is click on new team member, add their information. You can even assign the services that they're going to be providing from the start. What's going to happen is they're going to receive an email from you inviting them to join the Carepatron workspace. When they click on that, the email that you sent, you know, that you registered or that you used to add them as a team member is the one that's going to be their username. They're going to have a chance to either log in through Google or create a password and log into the workspace. Okay, that's all they need to do is just be on the lookout for that email, follow the steps that we share for them to be able to access, and that's it. Okay. Now, the next section that I wanted to go over with you guys is templates. When you first sign up for Carepatron, you might have noticed we asked you a couple of questions to get to know you guys. One of them being what you guys are specialized in. That question helps us in many ways, but one of the main ones is for us to know the types of templates that we need to add to your My Team templates. So Let's go ahead and browse those right here. You might have noticed a bunch of them already here that you didn't add yourself. That's because our team did it for you. But however, you don't have to feel like these are the only templates that you're able to use. These are just like a couple that we've added from the start. Feel free to delete any if they don't, you're not going to be needing them. But if you do need another template that's not here from the start, you just come over to community. You'll find all the templates that we've created for all of our clients right here. So if there's any template that you couldn't find in your team templates, make sure you come over to community. Make sure you browse through the options that we have right here. We also have the search bar up here. If you already know the name of the template that you're looking for, you'll be able to find that information right here. You yourself can create new templates by clicking new template up here. We have some tools and capabilities that make it a lot easier for you guys to create templates. For example, the form fields, where you can just select the type of field that you want to add. Let's say you guys want to add a multiple choice option. So you say best content for patient, something like that. And then you say, phone call, maybe an SMS, and option 3 is email. That way the patient can choose the option that they want to select, right? So they have this box to choose from. Now, you can also add smart data chips, which will pull information from your workspace, any information about the client, any information about your provider. It'll pull it automatically, so you don't have to write down your provider information every single time, or your name or your provider ID. You can just pull that from the information you already have in the system, and it'll populate automatically whenever you send out the template. Again, there's a lot of tools in here, guys. We do have a couple of articles in the Help Center and a video, a pretty good video, that shows you how to add fields, how to add pieces of information to the templates so you can use them to your best advantage. Okay? Now, any questions about that, guys? The Q&A section is right there. As I mentioned before, guys, just wanted to mention again, a lot of the features that we took a look at today, guys, are only available for some of our paid plans. If you notice something today that is not in your plan at the moment, I recommend you double check the following website or the following page within our carepatron.com website, which is the pricing and plans center. In here, you'll be able to not just see the prices for our plans, both for the yearly subscription as well as monthly subscriptions, but it'll also include a breakdown of each one of these plans and what they include. I highly recommend you take a look at them to see which one fits your team the best. And then, you can sign up through here or just reach out through the Help Center. Let us know. We'll be happy to help you or guide you through, subscribing to either of our paid plans, guys. Alrighty, let me see if there's anything else, guys. I think that is pretty much it for presentation. Now, before I let you guys go, I do want to make sure we have a chance for you guys to ask any questions that did not get an answer. Louis, do we have any pending questions?
Just 2 that just came up.
Oh, I see them.
Erica and admin.
Already, I see them. Thank you so much, Louis. So I have Erica. Is there a way to send automatic reminder messages to clients for completing documents that they have not completed yet? Is there a way to edit the intake message so it always remains the same each time? So as I was mentioning before, Erica, we are working on releasing more customizing or customizable options within the workspace. At the time, reminders are the defaults that we have, but we are looking toward releasing those custom availability to customize early next month, or no, actually next quarter. Sorry, early next quarter. So we will be more than happy to reach out and let you know, hey, customization is available now. Make sure you go in there, add your reminders as needed, or change the messages as you need, and that way you'll be able to save those. But at the time, we don't have that capability just yet. And we also have another question over here. Oh, thank you for that feedback. If you guys have any difficulties when using the Carepatron telehealth feature, feel free to let us know. Our team is always open to feedback, and we also have a prompt in the Help Center. I'll actually show you guys exactly what I mean there. So if we come back here to the workspace and you click on the help option right here, so you'll see I'm right there. Louis is not there because he's helping us out in the Q&A right now, but I'm here. If you guys have any questions, you can click on send a message, and we have a prompt here like, I have a question, I found a bug, I want to ask for a new feature. And you can choose to talk to somebody from our team from the start. We have an AI there to answer quick questions. But if you want to talk to somebody from our team, feel free to just write down, talk to a person. You'll be automatically sent to one of us. We also recommend taking a look at the Get Started with Carepatron guide here. It has the same information that I've shared with you guys today, but it also includes broken down articles for each section on how to set up and make sure that you have everything ready to go when you start using the workspace. Okay, so always take a look at these mentions down here. For example, I'll take a look at this one for Started with Your Team, and it has images with where you need to click and what you need to do to make sure you guys are set up correctly. Okay, we also recommend using the Help Center down here, which has bunch of more information about the tools and capabilities inside Carepatron, as well as information around the workspace and around ourselves, Carepatron as a company. So feel free to take a look at Search for Help here if you guys have any questions. These articles are available 24/7. Okay. Let's see. Do we have any other questions? Oh, I see. Tiana. Okay. So we don't have the possibility to fax the notes directly, Tiana, but you can share them. You can add the other clinic as a contact of the client, and then when you share the information with the client, or you can even choose to share it directly to the medical clinic, but once they are a contact of that client. Okay. We are also working on reporting capabilities. They're hand in hand with customizable capabilities. At the moment, you can't directly track the referral information, Tiana, but you can go into the actual contact and see how many people they are related to. And that way you'll be able to check, hey, for example, this medical clinic that I added as a contact for all of these clients has 100 of my clients has referrals to them as well. It's not exactly reporting, but it's a way for you to be able to access the information if you need to at the moment. And last question here. Oh, you can add them by clicking over here, Farsad. If you come over to templates, you have the option to add them as default templates in the intake process. So when they're booking the appointment, they receive the intake form by default. Okay, you can take a look at that right here. Or you can come over to clients, and when you click on send intake, you have the option to choose them from here and also set them up as default if you want to. All righty. Okay, last question for Rio now. Melissa, I know you mentioned insurance billing becoming a feature soon. What about this? Oh, we're not going to increase anything, Melissa. We just changed our prices a couple of months ago, and we are pretty happy with them. We're not going to be changing them. That's another good thing about Carepatron, which we know and we've heard from you guys isn't available in a lot of other places. You only pay for the subscription. We don't charge for any additional, features or the possibility to increase the amount of templates that you can use or clients that you can input. We don't, block you guys in that sense, or have you guys have to pay more to get the full features. You have the features that are included in your plan with the price that you pay for that plan. Okay. And yeah, Tiana, you can upgrade your plan at any time. Simply go to over here to settings and workspace settings, subscriptions. You'll be able to see, the amount of storage that you have for the free and the essential plan. And you can also change your subscription directly from here. Okay. Alrighty, team. If there's any other questions that you guys have, even if they, pop into your head a minute after we finish today's webinar, feel free to reach out to us through that help center. Louis, myself, as well as the rest of the team will be more than happy to answer your questions through there. But yeah, thank you again for joining today's webinar. Keep an eye out tomorrow for the email with this recording and the survey. We'll be more than happy to learn how you guys felt with today's webinar. Tomorrow we'll be offering a billing tips and trips webinar, guys. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe to that, feel free to reach out. We'll be happy to send you guys a registration link. It's going to be really good, and we're going to have some more information about billing. And a bit of a preview or a bit of a sneak peek as to what's going to be coming for insurance. Okay, so hope to see you guys there. Thank you again. Have a great rest of your day. Take care. Thank you guys so much. Bye-bye.